Hello, everybody, and welcome to a special Thursday episode of Fan Thoughts and Analysis. Matches start today, so making the video earlier than normal. The first match is tonight at 7 p.m., so we got a little while before the matches happen, but I figured I'd just get this video out of the way today, since matches are going to be happening starting today. So let's take a look at all the matches for this week. They're going to show up on the screen right now. We got 11 matches for this weekend, so let's just talk about them all. The first one we have on Thursday is the Atlanta Reign against the Washington Justice. I don't think this will be a very close series. I think it should be a 3-0 for Atlanta, honestly. Washington has not looked very good. Atlanta has looked very good. And that's really all there is to it. Washington got 3-0 by Dallas. Atlanta's a better team than Dallas, in my opinion. I don't see how Justice win this match. Next is the battle for LA, which is, I think, should be a pretty good series. I'm going to give the edge to the Gladiators. I think they've looked better so far this season, but I think it should be a pretty close one. But the Gladiators, I think, are the better team right now, so I'm going to give it to the Gladiators for that reason. I still have questions about the Gladiators in the DPS lineup, but the Valiant, I think, as a whole, are just a bit weaker. The Gladiators still have a very good support and tank line that's helping them out. And Birdring is playing better than I think anybody expected him to. So that is what I like about the Gladiators here. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens in the double shield meta. We could be seeing the Gravy pop off. Who knows how much Space is going to do. Who knows if we might see Gig. Who knows what we're going to see at this point. But I think it should be decent match, but Gladiators have the edge. Moving on to Friday, with the Florida Mayhem taking on the Paris Eternal. I think this is another one-sided affair in the Atlantic. I think the Paris Eternal take this one pretty handily. They're a better team. The Paris Eternal are very good. This should be the only team in the Atlantic that the Mayhem haven't played that they don't really have a chance of beating. They've played New York and Philly and Atlanta already. They also lost to London. I don't think Florida's that good. I think they're not the worst team in the conference, but I don't see them beating the Eternal. I think the Eternal are just too good, even without Exy. Soon is still a very good player, and I think that this should be a pretty one-sided affair. Next, we have the Boston Uprising taking on the Toronto Defiant. Defiant already won the last time these two teams played. The Uprising are in just a state of disaster and disarray, and I think they are the worst team in the league, hands down. I think they're the worst organization in the league. I think that this is going to have to be a miracle win by the Uprising to win, even if it is only against the Defiant. The Defiant are 3-5. Uprising are 1-6. The Defiant, I think, they're pretty close to going to 500 in terms of record. I think the Defiant are just better as a whole than the Uprising, but I think this one should be pretty one-sided in favor of the Defiant. Final match on Friday is the San Francisco Shock taking on the Dallas Fuel. I am picking the Shock for this one. I just think the Shock are the better team as a whole. The Fuel are looking better, but I don't think they look great. The Shock, I think, have started to look great. I think they are, they're a top 6 team in the league, arguably, in terms of actual, skill level. I think they're very good. I think they match up very well against a lot of the teams in the league. So that's really what I see from the Shock. And they've had some issues and some weird things with their roster. They keep changing it up, but ever since that week that they struggled against the Gladiators and the Valiant, they've seemingly stuck to one roster per week. So even if the roster isn't the same roster each week, it's the same roster within the week. So I don't think it's going to be too big of an issue for them this week. And it's a Dallas Fuel. They're not that good. So I expect the Shock to have a good week. Even if it's only the one match. I think it'll be good for them. On the Saturday and Sunday, we only have Chinese teams playing. So first, we have the Chengdu Hunters taking on the Guangzhou Charge. I think this should be a pretty easy win for the Charge. I think they're a lot better than the Hunters. Sure, the Hunters don't have to run Reinhardt. They can just run Ball Diva like it's nobody's business. And they probably will do that, honestly. But I think the Charge are a better team. I don't think the Hunters have really been that great. Yes, they had their win against Shanghai, but teams just win against... Or Chengdu Hunters just get wins against teams they shouldn't get wins against. I don't put too much stock in wins like that. I think this should be a pretty one-sided affair for the Charge. We have the Shanghai Dragons against the Hangzhou Spark. I'm picking the Dragons because you'd be crazy not to. Last time the two teams played is very one-sided as well. I like the Hangzhou Spark. I think they are the second best team in this Asian region right now. Until we see for sure if Seoul or New York are in that region, then I think right now the Spark are the second best team. But the Spark are a team who definitely have hero pools that work for them, hero pools that don't work for them. I don't think this week works for them. I think it's a bad hero pool for them, so I think the Dragons win this one pretty easily. Moving on to the Charge against the Spark, I think the Charge win this one as well. I think it'll be close, but I don't think the Spark have a hero pool that benefits them this week. Spark, you're not going to be able to see Sasin on Zarya, most likely, because Rhine is out of the meta, so you can't run Rhine Zarya. No McCree, no Widowmaker means Godsby's pretty useless, because that's what he plays for the most part, so you don't really have that. So he's not going to be the most useful. The meta is most likely, I would say, going to be double shield, double barrier, most likely Orisa Sigma, and Gushue's fine on Orisa. Obviously, Gushue I think is one of the best main tanks in the league, and I'll never stop saying that about him. But I don't think that Sasin is necessarily going to be a great Sigma. I don't remember much about his Sigma if we've even seen him play Sigma yet. Obviously, they could try to run dive if they really wanted to. If I were the Spark, right? If you don't feel super confident in the meta going up against a team like Shanghai, maybe this is dumb of me to say. Maybe I'm just wrong for saying this, right? But if you look at a lot of the matches that we've seen recently, right? You look at Houston's win against Toronto, or you look at Dallas's win over the Valiant, right? They were running Tracer, right? Dante was running Tracer, DK was running Tracer. When, you're just not really supposed to run Tracer, right? Because they knew that was, they knew that those two players in particular are just really good on Tracer. And it was the kind of thing of, we can't win in a mirror match, so let's just try to just clown on Tracer. And that's exactly what they did, right? So when you have a meta right now where there's no McCree, no Brig, so CC is not as good. You can't shield bash a Brig, or shield bash a Tracer. Now, granted, Tracer's also very good with Brig, because Brig helps enable Tracer by armoring her up and whatnot. So in that way, maybe you don't run Tracer, for example, right? But what we've seen teams who, if they have just a really good player on a certain hero, they'll just run that hero. They'll build a comp around that hero and enabling that hero and letting them kind of win the game for them. The Hangzhou Spark have the best Winston in the league, in my opinion, in Gushue. His Winston is insane. It's really, really good. And they would be crazy to not consider, I think, building a composition that allows Gushue to carry on Winston. Especially against Shanghai, right? Because Shanghai is much better than the Spark are, right? I think we can all admit that. We can all agree at that, right? Now, maybe this is a meta that the Spark feel very comfortable in. Maybe they actually like the meta. Maybe Orisa Sigma is a good meta for them, and the DPS heroes are playing are very good for them, and the support heroes are playing are very good for them. I don't know. I'm not them. I don't know what goes on behind the scenes there, but I think that you have to consider the possibility of saying, we can run Winston and see if it works. Now, we saw Winston be run by the Vancouver Titans, and it did not work. And they have Fissure, who's also arguably one of the best Winstons in the league. Okay, so yeah, maybe Winston just doesn't work. Maybe Winston's just not good enough to really be useful right now. But I think it is something that you could look at, right? I don't think they will, because I think it's kind of crazy to say run Winston when Winston has been shown to not really be that good right now. But I'd love to see it just because I would love to see Gouchway and Winston. So I want it for that reason. But I don't think it's going to happen. But back to real quickly the Charge against the Spark. It's not a good hero pool for the Spark. I think the Charge should win it. I think they have a more... I think they have a better DPS lineup. A DPS lineup that can favor this meta better. I don't really think the Spark is... the Spark are a team that's going to have a lot of success just because the meta doesn't favor them. So that's why I'm picking the Charge. Finally, the final match of the week is the Chengdu Hunters taking on the Shanghai Dragons. Obviously, the Chengdu Hunters so far this season are the only team to beat the Shanghai Dragons. I don't think that means anything, though. I don't think the Chengdu Hunters are going to beat the Shanghai Dragons again. I think the Dragons are a better team. I think the Dragons are arguably the best team in the league. Now, granted, they've only played 5 matches, whereas the Fusion, who I think most people would agree are the best team in the league, have played 9. So there's a bit of disparity there, but I like what the Fusion have done. I like what the Dragons have done. So there's arguments there for either of them. But against the Hunters, I like the Dragons. The Dragons are just a better team. There's no other way to really put it. So that's really all there is to that. So those are my picks for this week. Let me know your own picks in the comments down below. Your thoughts on my big pick games or any of the games that I picked. If you disagree, if you agree, I'd love to hear your thoughts down below. But that's really all I have for you today. So if you enjoyed, consider liking and subscribing for more stuff like this in the future. I hope you're all staying safe, staying healthy, staying inside. I know we're all gamers and we like to do that kind of stuff, but sometimes, going outside is a little fun. We like to dabble a little bit in the outdoors, and that's fine too. But I hope everyone's okay and staying safe and getting through this. We'll all get through this if we stay together and stay inside. But that's everything. Thank you once again. Hope you all have a wonderful day. And enjoy some Overwatch League matches. Tonight, tomorrow, this weekend. However you want to do it. I'll see you all later. Bye-bye.